It is Black Spring with Autumn on your Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And I want to give you guys an opportunity to come in. So I'm going to try to hold on before I start the whole thing up. Okay. So once again, it is Saturday. It is actually, I mean, that's Saturday. it's Sunday. It's Sunday. And it's your time. You've gone back in time, right? You've gone back in time, you know. I hope you did. I hope you set your clock back. It's we're registering 8:03. So it's 8:03. I would hope that that's correct. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And here again, it is Sunday, November the 2nd. It is November 2nd. Yesterday was November 1. And I know I was in and out quite a bit. Didn't get to show you guys anything unique. Watchman's here. Good morning, Watchman. How are you? Hope you're doing well out there. So yeah, I'm coming in. I'm coming in today on a. I'm coming in today all about the. all about the. I'm all on the. I've been running things through the rhetorical X-ray machine today. So we'll just, it's not going to be. I noticed that a lot of, dare I say, content creators are. They will preface, they will say, hey, I'm not going to be on here long today. And it's not going to be long. And I'm going to be honest. I think that YouTube, I'm actually thinking they're more in favor of shorter form content, but I'm just saying, I'm not saying that that's fact or anything. I'm just telling you that that's kind of, I'm just thinking for what I'm going to present today. And I'm not saying I'm not going to do it with commentary, but I just want to give you a little bit of guide. And of course, you guys are very astute. I say this all the time. Shout out to the class of COVID-19. You guys are pretty. You guys stay tuned up. You guys stay tuned up pretty high. And I don't even want to say high. You guys stay in tune. Okay. I'm not talking 440, 444. I mean, you guys stay tuned up where you need to be. And today, what I want to do, let's see. Watchman says Dodgers and no EBT. LA about to root today. LOL. I got you. So with that said, I'm just going to be on about some rhetorical escalation is what I'm on about this morning. Rhetorical escalation, just saying escalation and allegiance, because the whole little script here is, it's staying true to form. We never get that far away from the script. If anything, things just kind of overlap. And you said riot. Okay. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for being one of our, appreciate you for being on the ground, getting ready. Gotcha. So, but I'm here to provide a little information on that. Okay. And I'm just thinking that there's been manifestation, of rioting all year long. It's not new. It's not anything new. We've had a crisis tone for a long time. All right, no problem. BRB, I appreciate it so much. So for starters, I'm coming in this morning. As you can see, I do believe the thumbnail. Let me check the thumbnail again. I had to play around with it a little bit. And I think to me, this thumbnail was not very original. I got to tell you, not really, not that really impressed with that one, but for the sake of time, I decided to go with it. So it doesn't matter. So what I'm on about is the shutdown script is what I entitled this. Because I can't, dare I say I wrestled with it, a little bit, but fear, control, trust. And that's where it is, right? So what I want to talk a bit about today is I want to talk about just a little bit. I've already introduced quite a few of the actual, hello, Akron Slim, welcome in. He says, I wonder home come the governor of Cali won't release the EBT funds. Morning to you, RCT, morning to you. So let's get going here, shall we? So if you guys could, touch your little screen, give you love on your screen a little bit, and I think you know what I mean when I say that. Just love on it a little bit. Okay, if you don't, it's on you. Okay, so what I'm saying, what I want to start with today is I want to talk about just a little bit the crisis language. We've been dealing with crisis language for a while, and I've talked about the shutdown. The shutdown itself injects fear, and it injected fear. It always does. Thank you so much, Akron Slim. I really appreciate it. It always injects fear right into it. Doesn't matter what the narrative is, what the plot is, but it happens that way. And I'm doing absolutes right now. I get it. But most of the time it's going to inject that in. So the crisis language is shutdown. So shutdown implicates, to me, we're talking about systems. Are we talking about your government systems? Are we talking about your technology systems? Are we talking about your educational systems? Are we talking about your nutrition, your sustainability, all of that? Shut down, right? So we've been talking about that for a while. Not too long ago, I've cited, at least I started with Starbucks a few weeks ago, and then from Starbucks we went to Target. And then I ended up seeing the TSA. With I talked a little bit about ATL having, of course, we have that's the, we've all that's the hub, okay. The busiest airport. They call it the busiest airport in the world because, I mean, and I'll say this again, we've always said, if you're going to heaven or hell, you're going through Atlanta. So the hub, Hartsfield. Hartsfield, we've talked about that. Not only that, we've talked about the TSA and how TSA it was last weekend that they had foregone their first paychecks, and that some of them were needing to opt to pick up a second job in order to keep going. Welcome in, Gary Gage 104. Gary Gage, is that you? Did you change your name? Did you? Hey, God, much respect. If you changed it, we're loving it. We're all about it. So the crisis language, paychecks halted, more and more paychecks have been halted. I mean, air traffic control, I've talked about that job being a beast in itself. We know that you need to don't time those guys out. Don't time those guys out. DOT, we know they need to get their rest. Okay. And then so we go from shutdowns to paychecks being halted from TSA, air traffic control, military personnel, military families. Paychecks are halted. Okay, they're not getting where they need to be. And then you have the benefits halted. So I talked about originally about how the narrative would be with, you went from an abstract government in which, things shut down, but by the time it reaches the common man, I said, well, typically by the time it reaches the common man, there's more movement, or we're on the other side of the curve or the curve or the arc. But that it doesn't prove to me, it's not going to be that way. I think we're in unprecedented times, and I do think that this is all by design. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not. So cheers to everybody that's in the chat. If you're new, I appreciate you so much for coming in and giving Black Spring with Autumn a listen to this morning. So it's noted. Okay. So I want to keep going on, and I want to talk about there is a containment. There is a containment piece that's available for you, but I'm also going to show you the mediated escalation today. So I want to bring it all together in a nice little bow. We've got the crisis language. We've had that. So to me, when I do echo and insight, it's kind of like it's curated, but we're building, we're always building, and we will revisit, and we will also do an echo check is what we're actually going to end up doing. Hops. If I'm not doing that correctly, let me know. Hop. 27. Welcome in. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you gotta evolve, just a little bit, you gotta, let's say the lens, if you change your lens, nobody can blame you for that. You can't, I even, hey, right. I'll even go back and borrow, grab a pair of my dad's glasses and say, you know what, I'm gonna get these glasses. I'm gonna have some lens put in this frame of glasses, because that's what my dad used. to see this crazy world with. So, that's those kinds of things. So let's keep going here. So I'm going to show you some mediated escalation. And I'm also going to show you how they shift and how they pivot and how they also go from, they make it seem like, oh, it's all about them. It's all America. But then eventually they will give you, they create, they add, they raise the stakes, and then it becomes external conflict as well. Okay. When they bring in the illegals or the immigrants. So to speak. So we'll talk about, I'm going to show you a couple commentators today or influencers that are forecasting unrest, is what I'm also going to do. So I appreciate it. I thank you guys so much for coming in. So I guess in just a second, we're going to start with, now that I've kind of given you a little bit of I've given you the concept of today, I would like to go through, I'm going to give you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with giving you the containment response is coming your way. And then I'm going to follow that up with the mediated escalation, and then we'll round it out. So just before that, thank you guys so much for coming in. Marcy T, I really appreciate it. Gary Gage, Hop, Sage. That is not rolling off for me. I'm sorry about that. So let's go ahead and let's go with it. Let's get it going here. Okay, so just for instance, so I've already kind of given you a recap, but here again, when the government shuts down, there's always a pattern, as that's what I'm here for. Okay, so first we've got the fear, we've had the headlines, had the missed paychecks, we've had the food stamps running out, and then the families are left hanging, and then the control. So with that said, I'm going to bring you the control piece right now, and it's going to come from a liner from The Hill. And you're going to start hearing about quick response forces and emergency plans and safety measures. Okay, so that's what you've got coming from Black Spring this morning. John Roberts is here. John Roberts, how are you? You guys, if you have a channel, please feel free to drop your link in the chat by all means. Okay, you have that. You've got the free will to do that here. So I just want you to, embrace that wherever you can. If you feel like it, do it. It's all good. All right, so here we go. We're coming straight out. Let's go from the containment to this containment response on this. So right away, okay, so according to this is from thehill.com. This was released on Thursday. Okay, so it's not fresh as a daisy, but it's relevant. Okay, so Pentagon orders quick response force of 500 troops per state, reports. Okay, so according to this, the National Guard is building a quick reaction force, the QRF, of some 23,500 troops trained in crowd control and civil disturbance that can be ready to deploy to U.S. cities by early next year. So here's the manifestation as well. Not only am I calling this containment response, but we had a manifestation for this like early on, okay? All right, so according to a leaked memo reported by multiple outlets on Wednesday, okay, so the October 8th memo signed by a National Guard Bureau Director of Operations, Major General Ronald Burkett, orders the Guard from nearly every U.S. state, Puerto Rico, Guam to train 500 service members. States with smaller populations such as Delaware, as well as 200, will have 250 troops in its force. You gotta love Delaware's first state, right? I'm a little partial to Delaware. I have a little history there. So we'll have 250 troops in its force for the first state, Delaware. And while Alaska will have 350 and Guam will have 100, okay? That's the task and purpose reported, okay? So also a previous Pentagon memo issued in September and revealed by The Guardian had mandated that Washington, D.C. National Guard create a, quote, specialized military police battalion within it dedicated to ensuring safety and public order in the nation's capital as the circumstances may necessitate, okay? So you guys know, you guys kind of remember that narrative, I'm sure. But I'll keep going here. So it says the latest document also stipulates that the Pentagon will send military trainers to the states and territories so that the quick response forces will be operational by January 1st, 2026. Each state will also be given, quote, 100 sets of crowd control equipment to be used to support this requirement. such as tasers, pepper spray, batons, and body shields. The Pentagon did not respond to a request for comment from the Hill. All right. In addition, we've got the Trump administration has increasingly moved to use the U.S. military to push. This is from the Hill. Now, listen, I'm not going to I'm not going to go into the dialectic here because it's here, but moved to use the U.S. military to push his political agenda domestically via sending national troops into largely Democrat-run cities under the claim of helping fight crime. Okay, President Trump on August 25th, his executive order mobilized the DC National Guard to the nation's capital over the objections of city leaders. Trump at the time claimed the city's crime was out of control despite data showing that the rates had dropped over the past 2 years. In their more than 2 months in the city, Guard members have largely been helping with, quote, beautification efforts, such as picking up trash and laying mulch. Trump has also activated the National Guard Los Angeles to quell largely peaceful protests over U.S. immigration and customs enforcement activities in the city, and has attempted to send them to Portland, Oregon, and Chicago, among other cities, but so far has been blocked by the courts. So I'm going somewhere. Just ride with me on this. Okay, so a National Guard spokesperson told Task and Purpose that the Bureau is coordinating with the Pentagon and the United States and territories, quote, in planning that will implement the direction, end quote, Trump laid out in the August 25th order. So you see, this manifest is not a couple of months old here. This goes, where are we? We're in the month of November. So we're going back to August. Okay. All right. So the creation of the National Quick Response Force is not unprecedented, but they usually occur after serious emergencies, such as when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005. Quote, this is different because we're essentially establishing a unit for space to respond to civilian activities, a Guard member told Task and Purpose. Quote, we are ready to go when we're called upon. We're not asked to stand up an entire unit ready to quell dissent at any moment. The troops are to be trained in how to, quote, form a squad-sized riot control formation, end quote, how to, quote, employ a riot baton as a member of a riot control formation, end quote, and how to, quote, supervise a riot crowd control operation, end quote, as well as the escalation of force techniques, according to the memo. So here again, it's rounding out with each state must report monthly on its progress via an online defense readiness reporting system. So you guys see how a lot of this was already, the infrastructure and the structure for the framework for this was already in place. And so that's why I'm talking about manifestation. But see, this is why I say that there's always a script here. There's no way anyone can. How are you predicting all the way from August into now, as well as into January 1st of 2026? You're talking about the new year, okay? The calendar as in the new year. Okay, so Marcy T, let me come in here just for a second. And then I'm going to give you, in just a bit, we're going to go into the mediated escalation. All right, let's see who's all here now. I know we had John Roberts to come in. John Roberts, welcome in. And Marcy T says, okay, they keep taking my chat bar away. And every time I come back, I have to hit the like again. Gotcha. So let me tell you guys this. Let me make a small little recommendation. And you kind of know what I'm up against. Shout out to the class of COVID-19. If you get the best thing I would suggest, let's keep going here. Okay, so I'm back now. All right, so let's keep going here. Okay, so I'm back now. All right, so let me keep going here. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did get a call. I apologize, guys, and I was concerned about that. So yes, so I'll keep going here. I'm back. I'm not anywhere. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about the mediated escalation in all of this, and I talked about the escalation of this. I mean, the manifestation of this. And of course, you've got a lot of social media, a lot of people that have, said, oh, well, I'm going to wreak havoc on my store, or I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And, but I'm just saying the fact that they've manifested this all the way into the new year. Um, just saying, but thank you so much, Akron Slim. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if you guys out there can tap that little screen, love on that screen button, it'll be all good. Okay, so let's keep going here. So what I wanted to do, now that we've gone into the containment response, see, your containment response was already there, because to me, all of this comes into a wave here. But you got to admit that we're dealing with a double-minded group of people, or we have people that are unreliable, they're unreliable. Good morning, The Real Shelton. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Hope your Sunday morning is going really well. Okay, so we're going to keep going here. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and dig into this, okay? Let's go ahead and dig into this. What I want to play you is I'm going to give you a sound clip in just a second from Alex Jones from InfoWars, okay? This whole finger pointing thing is very tiresome, but I'm here for it. I don't have to do a whole lot of work, because I don't have to do a lot, because it's already laid out for you. So I'm just giving you actual guidance is what I'm giving you right now. Okay, so let's go with it. We're going to go with some escalation from Alex Jones from InfoWars, and then we're going to shift over to one of the commentators over on Newsmax. Okay, all right, guys. Hope you guys are doing well, and let's go with Mr. Jones.
This is going to get totally insane, and so now it's going to be all about exposing the Democrats. So there's so much pressure on them that they know they're getting the blame for it, that they back off. But they know the general public, especially their constituents, are so politically illiterate and business ignorant and have such short memories that people at the midterms won't remember this. And they think it'll take the stock market, and the Democrats have said they want that, so the Trump recovery doesn't work. And where we are financially, historically, if Trump's recovery doesn't work, which is gaining traction and it's starting to work, but still it's close. If they screw this recovery, where we are in debt, where we are globally, where other countries are, with the inflation, there's a good chance we have a full-scale, deep, long depression, which is the Great Reset that the WEF, the UN, the IMF, and World Bank have been saying they want. And then we're back to what they wanted.
Okay, did you guys get that? So that was Alex Jones. Now, however you feel about Alex Jones, that's that's your cross to bear. But what I'm saying is, Alex Jones, I think that, of course, I've said this. I'm a framer. I frame to expose the frame. And in this case, Alex Jones is saying, okay, so here we have this issue, and now we've got, but then it doesn't take him very long to pivot and say, oh, okay, well, it's, the Democrats, this is going to really expose the Democrats for what they're, for what they're doing to thwart the effort, to thwart Trump's recovery efforts and putting us back into the Great Reset, the WEF agenda. So whether that's true or not, whether that has merit or not, or whether it's valid or not, it doesn't take very long for the whole finger pointing to go on. The whole finger pointing, oh, this one's doing this, and oh, this is really going to expose this. And then this is the piece, the language matters here also. Whether you agree, whether you think you're in the left or the right paradigm, dialect, whatever you think, you still have that, you get that ding on the common man. Well, these these people are, they're pretty much idiots. They're the common man. They don't have enough intelligence, or they're low IQ. They're not going to remember this by election time. They're not going to do this and that by election time. As if, we that's not, to me, we're past that. Okay, we passed that a mile back. So it's always the common man versus people that have to tell them, oh, you're not smart enough to know recognize what's going on. To me, I don't even think you need to inject that. But there again, you got to keep the narrative going. But oh, they won't stop there. Let me take you to Newsmax, in which we will inject the cultural motive with the immigrants, or the quote illegals, back into this. So thank you guys so much for joining me here.
You don't like a particular policy?
Hang on just a second. This one, I meant to get you guys past this one. This one is, he's showing a little bit of a montage of Obama during his years, but I want to move you over to the actual piece where Newsmax talks about the illegal factor in this. Okay. So we're all unified and everything until it's all about Americans, it's all about the Americans. But before you know it, they've got to raise the stakes, and they've got to add that external conflict about the illegals. And I don't want to give it up too fast, but let me just get through this section really quickly. So while I'm doing that, I just want to say hi once again to everybody and thank you for burning a whopping 26 minutes and 18 seconds on your Saturday with Black Spring with Autumn here. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, that's all the pendulum swings back and forth. And where are you? Where are you stronger because of that? I don't think so. And of course, you got the Speaker of the House. So here he comes in and says, oh, here it comes. So here we go. We're going to go with the Speaker of the House now. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much for coming in. So let's go with the Speaker.
Are required to open the government.
Democrats.
They keep saying Republicans are in charge of government. We aren't. Not in the Senate. 60 votes control the Senate. Not a bare majority. And so point number one, Democrat vote.
You see, there you go. There again with your civic literacy. You're illiterate. Oh, we got to educate these people. Oh, 60%. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. Let's keep the illusion going for a little bit longer, shall we?
Required to open the government.
This morning, more than...
Okay, so now I want to go back a little bit. I want to go back just a little bit. We're still talking about the shutdown, how it's dragging on, and how it's injecting more fear and more concern. Here we go.
Million people, that's roughly 1 in every 8 Americans, are bracing to see their food assistance run out later this week, creating a food crisis some experts say could be the worst since the Great Depression, all because of the government shutdown. The U.S. Agriculture Department, which administers the SNAP or Food Stamp program, announcing, quote, the well has run dry.
Everyone's worried that, they're not going to be able to feed their families.
There are 42.
Okay, here it comes. So you got Americans, they emphasized Americans, or they break it down to 12%. They go from however many millions, and then they go into 12%. Now here it comes. This is your guy from Newsmax. Here he comes to raise the stakes and bring the illegals into the narrative. Here we are.
People in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans, because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting.
Okay, do you see how he's breaking that? How he's breaking that down for you? He's now broken that down to you to say, hey, 49% or 59% of the 59% aren't even American. So that means that other 41% is, I guess he's implying that those are the real Americans. Do you guys see what's going on here? Do you see what's going on here? They gas you up and they love bomb the shit out of the American narrative, and then all of a sudden here they come with that and raise the stakes and talk about these illegals that are receiving food stamps. So I just wanted you to see that. I just wanted you to see how the commentators and how they amplify the actual forecast of who's who and who's actually receiving their data. I just think there's a lot of manipulation going on here, and to break food stamps down by ethnicity. I think that's problematic in itself, but it's also, quote, very un-American. How are you, Hops? I mean, you know what? If I'd almost rather just say 27, 27, so that I don't, ruin it. Okay. But yeah, but I wanted you guys to see this because I just think that the fact that they went from speaking of Americans at 40 something million Americans to 12% Americans. Now we're going to break it down to, that other 59% aren't even Americans. They're either Afghan, they're Somalian, they're Iraqi, they're Haitians. But what is your solution? What is your solution? Are you going to cut them off, or are you going to keep injecting this whole narrative on illegals? Like what exactly are you on about? And that's what I'm telling you guys, these cultural motives just keep showing up. That's a crisis in it. That's a containment crisis in itself, the whole illegal immigration and the resources. But are they counting the amount of the amount of foreign aid that goes out? Are they doing that? But like I said, but we're not done with this. I just wanted to come on and let you guys see the curve here and see the narrative and see how they're going to continue to shift no matter what part of the dialectic they claim to be on. I've said this before, there is no Republican shutdown. There is no Democrat shutdown. There is no Independent Party shutdown. There is no Green Party shutdown. There is no illegal shutdown. It's an American shutdown. And to me, I don't think, because it's been manifested, because you've got your containment, you've got your quick response force already training into January 1st of 2026. Then you've already manifested this. And is it really was this all about, you've got the perfect gumbo, the perfect storm here. You've got immigration, you might have looting, might have destruction. Maybe later we'll come on and we'll talk about some of the places that have actually, that have already seen people coming in and walking out. And, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people that depend on, subsidies or government assistance. And it's not just one demographic. It's not. And whether this guy's sitting here talking about food stamps by ethnicity. Well, how did that happen? I'm just saying the same thing that's driving the fear is the same thing that's destroying. It's all a part of one plan. And then I'm going to go back to Jones citing that, that there would be unrest. Well, I think there was going to be unrest anyway, because when you keep coming up with these declarations of war on this and war on that, all it ever does is it keeps evolving. It keeps evolving and it's overlapping. You already had immigration stuff going on. You've already had ICE attacks and riots going on in Chicago and LA. You already had that. Okay. But then you say, we're going to clean up crime. But then you already had a plan to train people back in August. But then these people are supposed to be ready by January 1 of 2026. Come on. And do I think, and I'm just saying, and all that sounds good about the Great Reset and all that, but America flourishing does not fit into, dare I say, the New World Order. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Okay. So I appreciate you guys so much for coming in, and eventually I think we'll be able to do some interaction on the mobile streams. I'm gonna go back and read some comments. Thank you so much. Is that Eric Chanel here? Thank you so much for coming in. He says it's all by design, a psyop, emotional instigation. Thank you so much for coming in. Marcy T says if people could understand the mountains of money given over to taxes, you couldn't be tricked by this dumb narrative. And it's like they want the chaos, because I'm going to tell you that in my honest opinion, I think that they're probably laughing at us right about now. They want you out here fighting in the streets, whether it's over a piece of bread or a piece of cheese or whatever it is. That's the whole point, is to get you out here, and so that to get you out here. Thank you so much. Let's go on here. Marcy T says, can we say Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake narrative is going on now? Yes, and see, this is why I keep pivoting back to 2019, when Pelosi was carrying on at the hair salon while everyone else was locked down and without paychecks. You didn't have a whole lot of containment efforts on that. They were still deferring to food banks and churches and that kind of a bit then, but you still had this image of the privileged or the elite just doing whatever they wanted to do. So a lot of these narratives are just recycled. They're not new. They just kind of put them on the shelf and they bring them out. Okay, that's exactly, and to me, and I think a lot of things that were put in place in 2019 were set for a time such as this. As you can see, I guess, of course, you're gonna need to contain escalations, but you were set up for this in August 25th. And you've got the depletion of benefits going on. So you got the perfect storm right now to establish some things, to do some things that you couldn't, it will be way worse than 2019. Yeah, George Floyd and all that, you've got an even bigger pot of gumbo right now. Yes, you do. So I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Anarchy Television is here. And let's see, Marcy says, that's what you're distracted from. So, and I was talking about this yesterday, all this stuff about immigration and all of this, it's all, to me, they're bringing the whole place down. Watchman is back. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So they want you to think, oh, it's about this, oh, it's about that, when actually it's all about this is all going to usher us into under more control is where we're headed. So here again, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in on your Sunday, for spending the 37 minutes and 39 seconds. I really appreciate it. So I appreciate you guys for loving on that like button. And, and like I said, and I will say this, I'll make this recommendation. If you have issues in the future, just maybe unsubscribe and resubscribe. And maybe that's something that you have to put in your in your repertoire. You got to do it. It's kind of like, you got to keep doing it, because, they say that they've decensored, or that they've made a mistake, but who knows? There's a lot of mistakes, and they don't want everything out. They don't want their whole narrative exposed. No, they don't, because a lot of people are still very much asleep. And I will tell you, even though I acknowledge there's a world economic agenda, a WF agenda, but also when you got a dinner of thieves, when you host a dinner of thieves at the White House with Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all these people and all these oligarchs, how much more globalist can you get than Bill Gates, who is a huge proponent for digital identity? So don't tell me that this one thing is going to thwart that's going to put us back on track for the WF. Most people the average person doesn't even know what the World Economic Forum is. They don't know. They didn't know in 2019, and they certainly don't know today. Okay? I'm just saying, and that's not me with braggadocio, and that's not me being elite. They didn't know then, and they don't know now. So I'm sorry. That's not that. Hey, try again. Come back. Come back with something else. Marcy says, I said, and are being priced out from living. Building, yeah, that the whole ballroom thing. You know, I'm just honestly, it is. I don't know. It's just it's a bad skit. It's a bad movie. It feels like we're in a bad movie. You know, we are. It just seems like we are. But some people are going to, good morning, realize. I thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you guys for loving on that like button. And it is I know you guys could be anywhere in the world and you decided to come in with Black Spring this morning. I really appreciate it. So, but I mean, like I've said this before, that food stamps are not, and I'm not saying this makes it any better, but I'm just thinking we have 500 plus senators or senators / representatives that they convinced you that as a human being you could be represented by a certain number of people. You know, we allow them to live off of us, but in exchange for them running the government, but they can't even do that. So I'm just saying, like, you know, that's why I call this place Ancient Rome 2.0. Because, you know, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're getting kickbacks, they're getting deals, and they're not really worried about any of this. They're not really affected by any of this. But you know, if you're into illusions, and you got your allegiance set, you know, I just hope you're not surprised where you wind up. Because, you know, it's gonna be us at the end of the day. Same way it was once before. And it's not over by any stretch. So with that said, I'm going to say, thank you guys once again for coming in. And then I'm probably going to go out for a while. And I may be back later. If you guys want to hear some of these people sound like kind of fake. You know, they sound like some bad actors here and there. Oh, I get $3,000 a month in food stamps and nobody's going to stop me. Good morning. TMK Media. And then you have a lot of grandparents that are kind of like surrogate parents, or some of them aren't getting a ton of food stamps, but they're supplementing whatever their income is in order to help out with their kids. So, you know, this is really not, you know, it's going to hurt everyone. I remember, you know, what is it? It hurt. All of it hurts the unfortunate. It hurts the poor. All of it does. It hurts the common man. Okay. No matter where you are on that common man shtick. Okay. Let's see. Let's go through it here. Did somebody else come in? Realize came in. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to wrap it up. Akron Slim says Ohio governor released food stamps for Ohio. Well, there you go. I see what you mean. Marcy T says Rome received a bloody head wound and were never defeated fully. I agree, Marcy. I agree. Gary Gage 104 says they create problems. They give us the illusion of being needed when they fix it. So I don't know. A lot of people, unfortunately, I think some people could get hurt. You know, if they don't, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to sit up here and say I know everybody's situation. Some people don't make decisions. Some people are doing things out of convenience. Sometimes convenience is what drives people to do what they do. But then when it's not convenient anymore, you know, the desperation, you know, that's all it is. You'll be left with desperation. You'll be holding the bag. And there you go. Realize says that Rome never left. Rome never died. I agree 100%. They just kind of passed on the same lazy, corrupt traditions to the next to the next ruler or the next Caesar, so to speak. And America likes to, you know, try to differentiate itself, but it's an illusion. You know, it's fat. Our republic is fat, lazy, and corrupt as the ancient Roman one. So I mean, it's just, you know, we can't rely on people. We can't rely on these people to represent us. We can't be represented on paper anymore. We can't be represented digitally. We can't allow that. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Samoan says they are like Michael Scott. They are like Michael Scott is running the country, except they're not. Eric Chanot says, I'm disabled and dependent on crappy government. I gotcha. Hang in there. Let's see. Watchmen also came back and said, evil people and their demons love when the public is angry. They feed off of it. Hold on. So annoying. So annoying. But, you know, it is what it is. But I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and for loving on the like button. So if I have anything else, which is possible, you know, some of these actors are kind of comical to me. But for those that are suffering, you know, my heart does go out to them, and I hope that they find some solutions, or that they find some supplements that they can work with, or I hope that some of the grandparents can get some assistance where they need. Maybe they do need to look out for their churches. Maybe they need to look out for food pantries. Some of these places are already pressed, I would imagine, but I really appreciate it. Marcy T says, get them your government funds, lavish eating parties on your dime while you starve. Get it? I got you. All right, guys. So thank you so much, Akron Slim, for coming in. Marcy T. Realize. She says, problem, action, solution. Absolutely. And let's see. Did we have Hops was in earlier? Gary Gage 104. Eric Chanot. Watchmen, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you guys so much. TMK Media, thank you for coming in. And am I missing anyone? Anarchy Television 8445. So yes, I will probably be creating some shorts. So give me a little bit of time. It'll be more shorts, or I'll be back in later. Okay, guys. Hope you guys have some plans for some fun plans. If you're going on later, please drop your guys' links in here. If you need me to give you a minute or so to drop your link, you can do that as well. So please drop your link. If you want to share anything out, that's very helpful. Sharing a stream out or sharing your links out. Those are, you know, that helps get the people in, okay? Whether they stick around or not. There you go. Anarchy Television. Please get over to Anarchy Television. Anarchy always has robust wisdom and ideas to share, as well as, what was it? John Roberts was here earlier as well. We have Realize here. You guys be sure to drop your links, and do know that I completely support you guys, and I hope to see you guys around later. Marcy T says, all we have to do is keep preaching the truth on your YouTube channel. Is so hidden from YouTube, because I appreciate it. You know, we're just going to keep going here. I mean, certain things are not going to change, and neither am I. So, I'm just going to keep coming back, and, you know, we'll keep going. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Sunday, and who knows, maybe I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.